Hey everyone, Darren here from the Music Vault. How you doing? Back with a quick video. Just having my morning coffee. I was on YouTube, I don't know, yesterday or the day before, I can't remember. I know I saw one today when I was on for a couple minutes before I took the kids to school. And it was from Marty Worm and Brandon, I think, from Scourge Vinyl. And I think that's his name, Brandon. And they were doing 20 albums that got them into death metal. Now, I'm a huge death metal fan. I love death metal. It's probably my favorite genre of metal. I don't know. I just there's just something about it. You can split hairs with Amon Amarth, like Viking metal, and it's all death metal to me. So as times go on, you get new albums and bands that kind of click you into a subgenre or whatever. Okay. But out of the 20 albums, I'm only going to do one. There's only one album, one band that got me into death metal. And to be honest, they're not even a death metal band. I was in the record store the one day, years and years and years ago, and I spotted this record. Now, up to this point, I was into, my tastes have gotten heavier. Like when I was a kid, it was Judas Priest and Iron Maiden and Def Leppard and Kiss and, Kiss or Def Leppard up into Pyromania. Everything before that is gold. Everything after that, not so gold. Bands like that, Iron Maiden, Twisted Sister, just your run-of-the-mill stuff, right? Your heavy metal stuff. And then as time goes on, I get into high school, I discover Razor and Venom and Exciter and Slayer and Metallica. Although I think just before I went to high school, a buddy of mine, Mike, introduced me to Metallica. And this was just when Ride the Lightning came out back in '84. So I was 14 back then. So that album got me into the thrash end of stuff. And then when I got into high school, like I said, with those bands, Overkill, Anthrax, and then blah, 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 blah. And then as the time goes on, Forbidden and Violence, and, as you know how the story goes. He's always introduced to new bands and stuff like that. Deliverance, Vengeance Rising. Oh, man, I could sit here all day long, and list albums and stuff like that. However, the album in hand that got me into death metal was a grindcore band out of the UK called Napalm Death. Now, I know they're not even death metal, I know that. But how the story goes, I was in a record shop and I was going through the CDs and I spotted this CD, and the cover, I was like, oh, that looks awesome, it's different, and then on the back, it's the guys, but it says change your life, which I think is pretty fitting right now. This album changed my life in terms of music. I started exploring everything that was like this, and believe it or not, first I got into more grindcore stuff because I started seeing bands like Bolt Thrower. Now I know people will split hairs over Bolt Thrower, but they're kind of in that class, grinding guitars, but it's slower. So some people say they're death metal, some people say they're grind whatever. But there was Bolt Thrower and Carcass and Napalm Death. Those, and then it just kind of went on from there. But I didn't last too terribly long in grindcore because like I said, started finding bands like Malevolent Creation and Obituary, and the likes of that stuff. I never really got into Morbid Angel and all the satanic stuff. I'm not into the satanic. Being a Christian, it's kind of hard to listen, so you kind of pick and choose what you're listening to. Yeah, you could split hairs and say, well, that's not, overtly satanic stuff like Deicide, Morbid Angel, whatever, all those style bands I'm not a huge fan of because of the lyrical style. I'm not saying they're not great musicians, just not into that style. It's not my bag. That's why I'm not into a lot of the black metal, overtly black metal stuff, because of the lyrics. Anyways, so yeah, so Napalm Death, Utopia Banished. Now I do have it on vinyl as well. I already did the video and then the phone rang, so I had to redo the video, so that's why it's all out. But yeah, and this has 4 extra bonus tracks. One and the Same, Sick and Tired, Malignant Trait, and Killing with Kindness. So it's got I think it's got 19 songs on on it. And as everybody knows, grindcore is not known for having very long songs. And this album is kind of like on a lilac. Well, if you see it from my angle, it looks like it's a lilac swirl. It's really cool if you look in the light, but on camera I can't even get it. It's just pure. Oh, there you go. If you look at it on an angle like that through the light, like all them through here, that's what I'm looking at. But then when I go like that, that's what you guys get. So yeah, custom centerings. Now this is obviously a reissue. Napalm Death has, because kind of like Rush, when I first got into Rush, it was Moving Pictures that got me into Rush. Well, that album, because I had heard it so many times, and it was my introduction to Rush, obviously became my favorite album. And I've obviously heard every Rush album since. It's just, that album is my favorite. Nostalgia reasons, because it's my first, that's what got me into Rush. Why won't this go in? Oh, here we go. There we go. So, Moving Pictures is obviously the bag for me. Now, in terms of Napalm Death, excuse me, Utopia Banished. This is the first album I heard. This got me rolling into every extreme style after that. I do have some black metal. I have a lot of death metal. I have a lot of, a lot of punk. But this, as speaking in question, this is the one that got me into death metal. Nothing else I can say after that. I can go and I can pull 20 records out and say, yeah, these are the ones. They're not. It's this one. It's the grindcore album that got me into death metal. I know it sounds kind of funny, but that happens, man. Everybody's musical taste is different. And what I like, people don't like. What people don't like, I like. You know what I mean? Yeah. Anyways, so yeah. So that's my video on the 20-ish or 20 death metal albums that got me into death metal. Anyways, have a nice day, guys. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.